If you're an OG, if you watched our, if you watched the channel evolve, if you've watched what we're doing over the last 6 months, I say thank you for the support, guys. As you're checking in, I'm gonna stay on for about an hour. I'm gonna take all your questions. We got a couple, we got a couple cards this weekend. Nothing crazy. This is going to be a half unit weekend for me. Just like I, try to be as transparent as possible. There's a lot of these fights where, um, I'm not, if there were other big fights, I probably wouldn't bet on them, that sort of thing. But if you have any questions about any of those, just ask. We did put in, this is for the Patreon boys and the JSB insiders. We've hit 2 tickets already this week. And then we have 2 tickets. We have a third one that is live. We have our mid-tier parlay that started 2 days ago. It's only a 4-legger, pays about 3-1. 2 of the 4 hit. We need Nishida and FA on the money line. That's up. But I also just posted in the Patreon and for the JSB Insiders on YouTube, I posted our long parlay. It's a fun one. It's a half unit parlay. We do these every week. You guys know. If you're new here, what we do every week is I give you underdogs of the week. I give you probably between 5 and 7 tickets a week of my tickets. But one of them is what got this whole thing started last August, is our long parlay. It's fun. We piece together. This one's a 10-leg. These are all favorites. It only pays like plus maybe 300. That's up on the YouTube channel on section. And the Patreon boys, it's posted on the wall. I posted it last night before I went to bed. I'm also going to be posting, so we have the 4-legger that's live. We have the long parlay that's up. I'm going to post a 2-leg method of victory parlay with 2 fights that I kind of have my eye on. And maybe a dog. I don't know, man. Like I said, this weekend, the Zuffa card, I can't get a good read on the Zuffa matchups yet. I'm not thrilled about F.A. Ajagba versus Charles Martin. And then we have Nishida fighting Vasquez tomorrow in Japan, which is kind of like, you know what I'm saying? So Nishida's on my both parlays. So if he loses, it's dusted. We'll see. He's fighting a guy in Vasquez that when you look at his record, the record looks amazing. But you take a closer look and see who he's fought, it's like, oh, okay. I see why he's an underdog. I like Ryo. I like Ryo Nishida. He was being competitive with Junto until the eye swelling, until the cut. So I'm flirting with the idea of a stoppage or on points with that one. And I'm still torn on the F.A. Ajagba, Charles Martin method of victory as well. If you're in the Discord, I shared a voice note that was sent to me by my boy Tommy Ranone. Tommy hosts the show with Paulie Malignaggi. Tommy's coming on next week. He's going to be on the live stream next week to talk about Barrios and Garcia. Paulie was supposed to, but he's going to be in the UK doing a bare knuckle media tour. Now, if you're in the Discord, you can check out the 2-minute take from Tommy. I shared it with you. So I feel whenever I get opinions from a guy like Paulie or Tommy or even coaches, I always share it in the Discord. So you can take whatever you want with it. I don't do it to tell you to listen. Tommy and I have disagreed the last 3 weeks between him and I. Tommy, and fortunately we were right. We've been on her. But my point is, I don't share all the knowledge that I get from outside sources for you to it's almost like I get some knowledge, I share it, I'll be the conduit of knowledge, and then it's up to you guys to take what you will of it. The one thing you will know by fight night, you'll know who I'm taking because you guys get all my picks. Now, if you're not in the Discord, that link is pinned right there. It's a couple bucks a month. You can enter the Discord from YouTube or Patreon. Click that link. We're at 365 now, man. It's a beautiful thing. It's our community. Guys, I launched our merch. Very first edition of Johnny Says Boxing merch. There's a white Swindler. There's a white Swindler Unk hoodie that's just all white, Swindler in green. And then we have a 79 Swindler. There's a 79 Swindler tee as well. I'm going to be doing more versions and more versions. It was more or less me figuring out a company that would create the website for me, create all the merch. There's coffee mugs, there's stickers, there's all types of clothing designs. All I have to do is design and upload, and then they link it to my YouTube store. So if you want to check the 3 shirts, a black tee, a white tee, and a white hoodie, it's on YouTube now. Johnny Says merch, and I'm open to suggestions. I know some of you boys are graphic designers. Some of you guys like drawing. Hey, man, if you have a design idea, just send me an email. I'm going to start taking your questions right now. We got, what's up, Fit J? Hey, Johnny, I have a sneaky pick for Feb 28th. I'll pull up the odds too. Ticket Tech, big hits. So February 28th. Appreciate your support, Fit JCR. I'll pull up the odds in a second. I'm just checking my phone to see what card you're talking about. Maybe you're talking about the 23rd. I don't see a card Feb 28th, but shoot me it. Let me know. What's up, King Pound for Pound? God bless. God bless. What's up, Beast? Doing good, man. Just got done training. So by this time on Friday, so I've already trained twice today. I'm fortunate enough to have created a life for myself to where I run my coaching business. I used to rent space out of the city in Sydney. Now I have a really loyal group of clients that have been with me since 2015. I don't promote my services outward. I keep it really insular and they come to my house. And I train with my clients. So 90% of my clients, they're doing, if we're powerlifting, they're doing rep for rep with me. If we're doing outdoor road work, they're running with me. If we're boxing, and if they're at a level of sparring, they're sparring with me. It's just the way I coach. It keeps me in shape. It keeps my clients engaged. I've never been a whistleblower sort of coach. I'm a hands-on guy. It's how I stay so fit. My birthday's coming up, so my plan is going into my 40. They say when you turn 20, like on your 20th birthday, it's your 21st year on Earth. So this April will be my 45th year on Earth. So my plan has always been going into my next year healthier, stronger, wiser, wealthier than I was before. And wealth doesn't always relate to a bank account. Wealth it's all different for everyone here. I think a good heart, a good head, a good mind, and a good circle of influence, and that sort of thing, wealth. So by this time on Fridays, I've already worked out twice. I did a calisthenics session, 500 push-ups, 100 pull-ups, 300 sit-ups, planks, wall sits, that sort of thing. And then I just sparred 10 rounds with a female client. She's trying to kill me, but I'm just, catching and tapping and that sort of 10 3-minute rounds with 20 seconds of rest in between. So it's fun for me. And for her, she gets to lose weight. She gets to learn how to box. She gets to get a lot of aggression out. And it's just fun. So LeBron in the house. LeBron James, one of our newest Patreon and JSB insiders. Quick question. What are the chances Barrios is in silk pajamas? Think Tank, Thurman, Tyson, Paul, Netflix card against Ramos, Pacman, and Garcia money fights. Okay. Yeah. I'm not convinced yet for myself who I'm taking. I did a break. I gave you sort of a rough draft take on this on Barrios versus Garcia. And I got it. You know what I'm going to do better this year, guys, is, and I think this is part of our success the first 2 months of 2026, is I try my best not to bring in emotion to my bet. So after I did the breakdown on a live stream a couple days ago, I talked about why I didn't like Garcia, but I thought about that and I was like, that's all my own, like, that's me projecting my ethics onto him. He's just a 27-year-old dude, Maybe he can beat Barrios. So I don't have a direct, I'll let you know my take. It's soon. It's coming up next week. So yeah, I don't want to, the last thing I'm going to ever do is tell you to bet on somebody because I'm betting on them because I don't like somebody. That's a very casual take. So I don't have to like the guy for me to bet on the guy. For me, it comes down to matchmaking, stylistic matchups. I think my whole thing with Ryan, the two things that hold me back with him are pretty obvious. The one is more obvious than the other. The first one being the psychological question. With Ryan Garcia, you have to ask yourself, I mean, when's the last time he won a fight? I mean, who did he fight? Was it Oscar Duarte? Who did he fight before Devin? I mean, the kid hasn't won a fight. And then even Barrios. When's the last time Barrios won a fight? He's coming off 2 draws. It's just it's another one of these fights where it's gonna break through the zeitgeist of boxing fans to the casuals because Ryan's a social media star. But from like a confident, we're out here making money, dude. We got guys who make a living doing this. This is like my second career. I have 2 I have multiple things going on in my life. This is one of them. I put a lot of energy into this. So it's not one of these fights where, like, if I'm getting, I don't know. Give me 1 second. Because I have been watching Ryan's training. I spent the last, we'll say, day and a half checking his training, his coaching, the little bit of the little bit of, the thing about his training is it's very well manicured. He only puts out what he wants people to see. But stats don't lie. We know how basic he is. And the other point I was talking about, the psychological point, was point one. The other point why I'm hesitant on betting on Ryan Garcia is his lack of development. It doesn't take you long for you to go look at what he looked like as an amateur. Dude, look at Boots Ennis as an amateur and look at Boots Ennis now. You will see a massive jump. And this is what you want to see. Look at Gary Antoine Russell as an amateur. Look at GAR now. You see this gap. When you look at Ryan as an amateur, I see almost a degraded version. I don't see a guy who made all these jumps. I see a guy probably when he was an amateur was actually a little bit quicker because he was younger and lighter. But so he stopped developing. That is a discipline issue. So as a coach, it's tough for me to invest any sort of energy into any client, any athlete, if I know they're not disciplined. So just to give you an example, I have a wait list of clients who want to come coach with me, right? People message. I probably have a log of 25 contacts. If I needed a client, I could text, hey, I got an opening, they'll come. And I choose not to do that because I'm putting more and more time into this, okay? It's by choice. But I have one of these clients. He's 21 years old. I've been coaching him since he was 18. He's one of my strength clients. Comes from money, never really has to work. His dad's super well off, pays for everything, pays for the sessions. And so he'll go through like 6-7 weeks of being switched on, showing up 3 times a week when he says, and then there'll be like a week where he'll no show and not message me. And I'll let you do that one time to me. This next time you do it, I'm not messaging you. And so what does that tell you? That he's not disciplined. And I get it. He's young. He's 21 years old. He's trying his best. So I'm not judging him. But the point is, I'm not going out of my way to contact him. You know what I mean? Because if you're not disciplined, I'm not putting my energy into you. There's so many other people who need help. So Ryan Garcia, on that note, just so you guys know how I'm wired, how I'm looking at this, like I see a guy who's a young amateur who boxes the same exact way. Didn't add any feet to his game. Didn't add any nuanced didn't add any nuanced entrances to his game. Didn't add any nuance. It's just his lead hook and his hand speed. And it's kind of like, hey, man. So he hasn't had a win since Oscar Duarte. 2023, December 2023. And then the fight before, since 2022, since the Javier Fortuna fight, 1, 2, 3, 4, he's only had 4 fights. What are we going to talk about his inactivity? Granted he lost a year due to the steroid scandal, but then you look at Mario Barrios, 29-2, 18 knockouts. He hasn't had a win since 2024, since the Maidana fight. But the last time he lost was Keith Thurman. His only losses are Thurman and Tank. So they both got. So this is what you want to do. They both got stopped against Tank. But then you start doing your maths. They both got stopped by Tank. Okay. Who has the better resume? Hands down, Mario. Who's the bigger guy? Hands down, Mario. Who's the more experienced? Hands down, Mario. Who's been more active? Hands down, Mario. Who's more switched on psychologically? Hands down, Mario. So it's really, really tough. Well, let's pull up the odds for me to bet on Ryan Garcia. Like, if Ryan Garcia was, kind of operated like Gary Antoine Russell and didn't use social media and, wasn't a viral sensation and his name was just Ryan Garcia and, you knew him just for how he boxed, I don't even think he gets this fight. If Ryan Garcia had I have 42,000 Instagram subscribers, right? Been working on it since 2012, right? If he had 42,000 Instagram subs, I don't think he gets this fight. That's my whole point. But Mario Barrios would still be a world champion. You know what I'm saying? Mario Barrios got himself the package. This is what nobody's talking about. Mario Barrios earned the package. I mean, you could talk about what promotions have done, but from an individual building thing, he didn't get the Pacquiao fight because of his Instagram. it's hard for us to sometimes remove the shine away from certain fighters. And it's another thing. You guys know I'm a writer. I'm thinking about writing a book on this shit. We'll see if 2026, you know me, if 2026 continues to go how it's going and how 2025 went for us, I might write a betting book, or I might write a psychological. This isn't supposed to sound, I'm not trying to sound like cheeky here, but like, what if over time there is a system in boxing betting that nobody is seeing, that is allowing us to look past the shine, look past the mirage of the propaganda? Oh, this is the boogeyman, and everybody gets fooled by that. That's the propaganda. But in reality, most people aren't looking past that and seeing like the nuanced matchup. Like, look past the blinding propaganda, the social media following, the knockout, the winner ratio, and look past that. And now let's actually look how they fight. I think sometimes so if you remove the propaganda machine from Garcia, does he even have this fight? Does he even he hasn't won since 2023. He's never fought at 47, or he fought Raleigh, he lost, and he walks into a world title fight. It's hard, and he's the favorite. Let's look at the odds. How do you bet on that guy? You know what I mean? Like this is where I'm struggling with. He's had what, 5 fights in 5 years? Yeah, this is, bro. Like, this is crazy to me. This is dude. The last thing I'm ever gonna do is take Ryan on chalk. You know what I'm saying? That it would actually go against how we bet. I'm gonna take a guy who's inactive, who's the smaller guy, who hasn't had a one in almost, who hasn't won since 2023, who's been stopped before, who's psychologically cheated before, and I'm gonna take him on chalk rather than taking the guy who is the champion, who's the bigger guy. It's yeah, it's a lot to talk about. Sorry for the rant, guys. We're floating between 40 and 60 in here, approaching 20 minutes. As you can tell, there's not a lot of strict action on this weekend's fight. So if you have any questions like King just did, we could rant about them. Look, Marbar's look wicked flat lately. Been through wars too. Chin might be shot. He's durable though. I mean, he could take a shot. Maybe are we underrating Abel Ramos? Are we underrating a 58-year-old jacked up Manny Pacquiao? Abel Ramos is the guy who actually initiated my no bet Figueroa list. So, and every time I bring it up, people are like, bro, Abel Ramos got a little class to him. Navarrete by decision. I'm confident. I want to hear your opinion. You know what? I'm a fan of Vaquera. I'm also a fan of Sugar. Mexican and Mexican world title fight. Let's go. I don't think this fight's flying under the radar. I got to be honest. The Sugar Nunes in his last fight didn't blow me away, right? I followed his career, at least the last 2 years of his career, every single fight, and we break his fights down. He did enough to get the job done, right? Now, when you rewatch, we know with Navarrete, he's an X factor. Shit always happens. Headbutts, kicks, mouthpieces, long counts, very awkward to train for, point deductions, etc. But if you could get past all that, you start adding things up in his legacy. I feel he got knocked out against Liam Wilson. That's his first knockout loss. Didn't count. He ends up stopping. That was a 27 count. And then this fight against Charlie Suarez might be even more sort of head scratching to me, because I had Navarrete. We won money on it. We picked him, and it was a technical decision based off of what they said was a cut caused by a headbutt in the 6th. But if you rewatch the fight, we know that it wasn't a headbutt. It was a punch Charlie landed. Charlie gave away the first few rounds. I had Navarrete up maybe 2-1. There could have been a swing round. But when you rewatch the fight, Charlie was coming on in the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th. And that fight was turning. And I had money on Navarrete, and I was happy that we won. But when I look back, when I rewatch the tape, I got to feel bad for Charlie Suarez. Suarez is the guy who went into Australia when Paul Fleming was an undefeated world-ranked guy and was down on the cards and stopped Paul Fleming in the last round. And this is a guy, Olympic pedigree. This should be Charlie Suarez's fight. Now, all that being said, I think Charlie Suarez laid out a game plan. We've seen it before. We know Navarrete cuts a lot of weight. We know Navarrete doesn't stay in shape year-round. We know this lifestyle has things to be mentioned, things to be questioned. Sugar Nunes is a goddamn animal. You look at Sugar Nunez, you know this dude lives in the gym. He stays in shape. He's still hungry. He's not. To me, he has that chip on his shoulder that a champion, a potential champion needs to become a champion. Now he is a champion. You think going into a Mexico versus Mexico world title fight that he's not going to be switched on? I like Sugar Nunez in this fight. Listen to King, pound for pound, guys. Hit the like. I didn't expect to be this busy this morning. We're at 50. Let's see if we can get up to 70. You just like it, subscribe, and I got you. Johnny Big Brother, what's cracking? I need your opinion on Hitchens versus Duarte. You think Hitchens? Ranvar, if you're not following me on Instagram, what I do is now I built my Instagram 10 years ago from fitness stuff, etc. Now I use it. I started about a month ago using it to share takes from our show. So as you Ranvar right here, just go to my Instagram and you can see my take. This is me breaking down what I see in Hitchens versus Duarte. This was yesterday's live stream. So I could answer to you off the bat. I do think, all in short, I do think it's going to be Hitchens' speed and Hitchens' jab mixed with how brave Oscar fights and how determined Duarte is. You could be, usually determination, think about it. Brandon Figueroa's determination against Nick Ball was why we bet on him. I felt like that body work, that style was going to be enough. And, we were right. That's not to say, though, that sometimes determination is a bad thing. Matchups, this is what they really mean when they say styles make fights. I think with Duarte, with that style, I think it's a bad matchup for him. I think Hitchens' timing and speed and that jab is going to be too much. Him using the ring in and out. I could see, not a popular opinion on the channel, but I might play a Hitchens stoppage late. I might play it. If that becomes official, I'll let you know. That's where, as we're getting closer to the fight, where I'm kind of leaning. Duarte did well against Kenny. Went into Chicago. I mean, the Chicago crowd was pro. It was almost 50-50. For being Sims' hometown, there were a lot of Duarte fans. Duarte's a full-on star. Don't get it twisted. I'm an Oscar Duarte fan, and it's all for how he rebuilt himself after getting stopped. I love that. This is why this is the best sport in the world. You're talking about that we have a sport where you could lose everything in one night, and you have an opportunity, if you're brave enough, to rebuild yourself and put yourself in that position again to lose everything or gain everything. I mean, how romantic is that, dude? That is poetry in real time. So I'm an Oscar fan. I'm also a Hitchens. You give me a good jab with hand speed and feet, you're gonna go far in the sport. The winner's circle, staying away from the Zuffa card in terms of betting, got some good money on the Ryan. Yeah. And winner's circle, because I do what I do, I have to get, I give away action every week. But I will tell you, and I told you earlier in the week, this was and is and has always been a half unit week for me. Just so you know, if you're new to gambling, guys, if you're just tuning in because you like the boxing chat, we're all family. But if you're here, there's a lot of the boys here for the betting side. If you're learning how the strategy of betting, let's say your average bet, you're looking for action, $100. If your average bet is $100, that's your 1 unit. So when I say half unit betting this week on this Japanese card, Japanese domestic fights should always be half unit, by the way. That's my rule. A rule of thumb I have. Whenever there's a Japanese card, I'm gonna get a little action. Like Ryo Nishida's fighting Vasquez. That's always half unit. So if we're up, we're good. But if we're down, we're not that. It's not. These Japanese domestic cards are crazy. It's for me. This is my half unit list. And the longer you're on the channel, domestic heavyweight fights for me, half unit. I'm not going heavy. And if I'm going heavy, I usually go 2 times unit. Sometimes I'll go 3x unit if I'm feeling froggy. Those are usually on, sort of bigger fights where I think I'm really, really confident. But this Zuffa card, all the Zuffa cards thus far, from the first one, going from the Boach, from the J-Rod and Sugarcane card to the first one was the Irish kid that they're trying to turn it, that was called from the Callum Walsh card to the J-Rod card to the Sari Boacek card to this one, all half unit, dude. We're still trying to figure out their matchmaking. We need to figure out their judging. Over time, we knew when Top Rank would have cards. What do we know about Top Rank? 99% of the A side wins in Top Rank. You know what? That sort of thing. We have a long sample size to learn from with Top Rank. Zuffa, it's brand new. Be patient with these guys. The matchmaking, for me, it's kind of like, hey, I'll get some action on it, but I'm going half unit. So we got Japan domestic cards half unit, domestic heavyweight fights half unit, Zuffa cards half unit. So this is a half unit week. This may be a membership specific question for higher levels, but if not, are there any supplements you use or recommend you use specific for strength? Okay, great question sent from Pet. So lion's mane is a mushroom. It's a fungi. You're going to use that specifically for focus and concentration. There's actually a fungi stack, a mushroom stack. I used to take one called Shroom Tech. I used to be sponsored by a company called Onnit, Onnit. My first podcast was called the Vision Board Podcast. A guy named Aubrey Marcus used to own On It with Joe Rogan. This was in 2016, 2017. They used to sponsor my first show. And they had a supplement called Shroom Tech, which is like, how do I say, I do public speaking, I write books, I do this. So I need to stay switched on, I need to stay focused, I need to have an extensive vocabulary, that sort of thing. So that's what the lion's mane will help you with. Now, when you're talking about strength, this is from a strength coach to you guys. I am not a supplement guy. I'm obviously anti-steroids, anti-performance enhancing drugs. There's only one supplement ever through testing that has been proven to assist with strength, and that's creatine. And the reason why creatine is because it is synergetic with our body. Our body naturally creates creatine. So creatine used and shout out to Chris Algieri, shout out to Dr. Jose Antonio, the president of the ISSN, the International Society of Sports and Nutrition. They recently did a study. It was a 5-year longitudinal study, I think in 2018. Shout out to Dr. Corey Peacock as well from Nova Southeastern University. This was my network before I started doing boxing betting, by the way. This is my wheelhouse. They, in this longitudinal study, they realized that microdosing creatine actually helps with brain function and brain protection. This is why Algieri was part of the study. A, because he's a nutritionist. B, he's a former boxer. And so if you feel you took in, I played American football from the time I was 7 until I was 18. So that's a combat sport, getting hit in the head. And then I boxed from the time I was 7 until I was 15, getting my ass beat as a little kid. And so concussion, CTs are real things. So if you feel like you lived a life with, maybe you want to worry about your brain health, you can microdose creatine. Now, if you want to macrodose creatine, it's usually 3 to 5 grams. And depending on what product you get, they'll have a layout for you. Like if you're new to creatine, you want to max load it. You want to start with like the first week, 5 grams, and then you want to deload it and then get into a habit of doing a 3 gram. And I used to just mix it with water. But I got to be honest with you, at this stage of the game, I don't take any supplements. And I'm not trying to sound self-righteous. All of our bodies are different. The goal with health and fitness, the goal with strength, the goal with feeling better about yourself, you have to figure out what works for you. And so it's one of these things. You're not going to find a magical pill. There are no shortcuts. There are no secrets. Through your effort, dedication, and discipline, you're going to figure out how your body feels when you eat X amount, when you drink X amount, when you sleep X amount, when you train X amount, that sort of thing. And then from there, hire a coach. Coaches can help and guide you. Do I have a boxing ring? So I have my garage padded and floored, segmented, and I have a tennis court as well. So when I do drills, if you go to my Instagram and see all the drills, that's in my gym downstairs. But when we spar, I either go to my gym on the weekends that I don't own where there's a ring, or I spar on the tennis courts with the clients. Mike from Melbourne, checking in. Appreciate you. Abdullah, you like Abdullah, Mike? That's an upset, right? I was looking at this fight. I got that fight on. Let's have a look. Abdullah with an L too. Oh, 1L. Because when I was taping him, I was like, how come this guy doesn't have a box rec? And then I looked closely. I was like, oh, it's Abdullah with 1L. You said tomorrow. I'm not even getting that fight. I think that's on Bet365. Masood Abdullah. Yeah, he's a big favorite there. So these are the odds, but guys, if you're in Australia, these are Bet365's odds. So this isn't tomorrow. It's yeah, there's one fight tomorrow. Thomas Asumba, who's a 6-1 dog versus Masood Abdullah. Masood Abdullah should win this, probably on points if you could get him on points. Yeah, I think Masood Abdullah on points at $1.50. If you get those odds, I would play that. What's up, Sean, bro? You should check out the Abel Mejia fight versus Gervontadavis Benito fight. I think it's a good fight to make money on. Underdog was $7.50. A change overnight to $5.50. Abel Mejia. Let's check it out. Benito's 5-1 dog here. Right there. Yeah, I'll check it out. I mean, like I said, we're up a lot, guys, for 2026. We've been on a heater since our last money line loss on our parlays. Our only money line loss, I think, in like 2.5 months on the money line was Andy Cruz. If Andy Cruz won that fight, the streak would be insane. I could go something around 70 in a row, dude. Something around 70 in a row on the money line. Now, 5 weeks in a row with dogs, big fights, getting it right. So my whole point is that when I'm doing half unit weeks, I'm kind of recharging my batteries a bit. I put a lot of energy into this, and I spent getting the wins in Detroit. Cleaning up in Salida 2 nights ago, hitting with our dog of the week, and hitting with the plus 280, the method of victory with Vair on points and Pagan on points. It just kind of capped off a very, very intense run for us on the channel. So I'm kind of using this week, and I gave you a long parlay. We have an active parlay. I'm going to give you another ticket in the Discord and on the Patreon. But just so you know, because I didn't put a Stats Stone Live video out, I'm just recharging because we have a lot of big fights coming up. And if you guys are entrepreneurs, if you guys have if you know, that word gets thrown out there a lot. Some people like the word, some people don't. I guess I want to rephrase it. If you're working on a passion project and you want to build it, this is what this is. This is, you guys are part of my passion project, and I couldn't be more grateful. But it's really important that every now and then you have a chat with yourself to refill your cup. Take time away, recharge. So it's important. I mean, the week of the Josh Kelly fight, I did 7. I released 7 I did 7 Stats Don't Lie videos. Each one takes me about 4 hours. I did 7 in a week. I did live streams every single day. My point is, I knew this week was coming. I was like, all right, it's a slow week, but we're still going to make money. And I knew our money-making opportunities were on that slated promotion card. So I put a lot more energy into that. And once they hit, I was like, okay, I could just chill. So I am kind of just chilling right now with this Zuffa card and Japan. But I am giving you my picks, just so you know. I'm just trying to be as transparent as possible. I just can't trust Garcia. Raleigh made him soft. Yeah, you know what, Mike? You know what my coach used to say. I've heard Malignaggi and Tommy say this. He got domesticated. That's what happens. You could see it. Raleigh domesticated him. What's my take on Gary Antoine Russell? I'm a fan of Andy Hiroka. I covered the Andy Hiroka versus Rikishi fight. It was Rikishi's only loss up until he fought Brian Norman Jr. So Andy Hiroka's been on my radar, and we talk about him on the channel. Gary Antoine Russell, on the other hand, is one of my favorite fighters. The way he jumped out to an early lead against Alberto Puello, 4-1, maybe, and the adjustments Puello made, how Puello, shortened the ring, was using the ring, the entire ring, and he kept shortening. And Puello's a tough out, man. Puello's a tough out. He's a tricky customer in there. long, rangy southpaw, will use the ring, but then he'll fight you on the inside. Looks like he can't crack, but then he has deceiving power. Just a pretty big problem to deal with. People underestimate Puello. I thought Puello beat Matias. I'm a Puello guy. Like I say, I put Alberto Puello kind of in the same category as Sandor Martin. These tricky Puello's a little bit above Sandor Martin. Really smooth operators. Like if you like technicians in boxing, a guy who could stand there and pretty much you can match him up with anybody at the highest level. They might not always win, and they might not be a perfect fighter, but they're slick. And so the way Gary Antoine Russell, in my opinion, faded in that fight, and I felt like it was a tactical issue. I don't think it was a skill issue. It was a tactical issue. He wasn't active. That's the knock on him is inactivity. Going into that fight, he was 17-0 with 17 knockouts. He was inactive. People fell in love with the knockout to win ratio. That has to be stressful as well. I bet you if you ask him, it was probably not to lose. That probably wasn't good, but when we saw him again when he lost the close decision to Puello, his bounce back fight against Ryle, god damn, you want to watch a boxing clinic against a kid who's super tough? Look what Ryle just did, what Ryle just looked like. Ryle's one of my favorite fighters as well. Far from a perfect kid, only 26 years old, still green as hell, pretty new to the sport. Gary Antoine Russell put a goddamn clinic on. Like, beat him from pillar to post. And didn't stop him, but I feel like that is a sign of things to come for Gary Antoine Russell. I want to see him in massive fights. I want to see Gary Antoine Russell's name headlined in an arena and see how he elevates. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the beauty of our sport. When you get these guys and you get these talented guys, we've known about GAR since the amateurs. When you get these guys and you elevate them and you put them in a position so the world could see, I feel his best days are in front of him. I feel like the average person doesn't even know who he is. He's a champion. I'm a big fan of Antoine Russell. I think Andy Hiroka's style is, what do I always say? I'm gonna get a shirt that says tailor made. I think Hiroka's aggressive Japanese style is tailor made for GAR to look great. The one thing GAR, he does a lot of things really well, but what can get overlooked is his measuring of distance and range, and then his timing when he's coming back at you. So I'm a fan. Sorry about that long. That's a long ass. Barrios is a 315 is insane. There's nothing special about Ryan. Watch all these influencers but lows. Yes. So winner circle. So that's why I'm waiting to put my money on Mario, because I feel as we get, I'm probably gonna pull the trigger. You guys will know my bet come fight week. I'm 90-10 on Mario right now, but I'm not gonna place my bet until after weigh-ins. I'm going to wait until the weigh-ins, I think, because I feel so much money is going to be coming in on Ryan. Mario might be at like $4 by then. Garcia never won a fair fight at welter. Had to cheat to win over Haney. Barrios will not look as good as Raleigh, but Barrios will not look as good as Raleigh did. But you don't think he? Why do you say Raleigh did fight his ass off? Raleigh fought his ass off. Shout out to Raleigh, one of my favorite fighters. People think that this is a diss when I say it, but he's an overachiever. That's a compliment. If you took his amateur class, the guys that he was coming up with through, in Vegas, those infamous sparring or fight sessions at the Doghouse with Floyd, if you took all those guys who were there and you said who would be the 2 division world champion, I bet you not a lot of people would have picked Raleigh. You know, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Raleigh. I see Gary Antoine Russell and Frank winning convincingly. Nair Albright. I mean, people are kind of glazing Nair Albright all of a sudden. They're kind of glazing Nair Albright's record and his resume. People are like, oh, he has a great resume. He might not always win, but he has a great resume. I mean, does the resume go into the ring with you? It's really hard. Like, when you look at here's my take on that. When you watch the Frank Martin versus Gervontadavis fight, we know that Frank killed himself to make that weight. If you watch the sequences where Frank was doing well, the speed, the explosivity, the athleticism. He looks like he belongs. The only time he didn't look like he belonged is once Tank figured the timing out, and that comes with world-class experience like Tank had. That, like, Frank didn't have this long amateur career. Frank is pretty green for how old he is. We know that. We knew that going into it. But the X factor with Frank is that he could crack, and he's super athletic, and he's a dog. You know what I'm saying? I don't expect now. Here, Albright isn't a fast twitch guy, a super explosive, fast twitch guy like Frank is, and he definitely doesn't have the timing and power that Tank has. So I'm on team Frank here. Perth in the house. Skeezy, you know you're my guy. El Gallo, Albright a dog. If an upset is supposed to happen, it'll be Frank losing, but Andy Hiroka is a mystery as well. I don't think Hiroka's a mystery. I don't think her and Albright is a dog, but they're both look. Now they're both dogs. Watch how he operates though. The operating system in terms of punching, speed, volume. I think this is Frank's real weight class. I think we're going to see. Say what you will. Rancis Barthélemy was a former champion. He's obviously 38 years old, not in his prime. You can only fight who they put in front of you. Yeah, I think I like Frank Martin in this fight. I think it's close. I think the deciding factor for me, something that will separate the two, is going to be the speed and power. Another factor, Garcia went from Derek James, a world-class trainer, to his father. I doubt his father, but no, his dad's not. No, you know why he went back to his dad? Comfortability. You know what I'm saying? Guys, if you haven't seen Robert Garcia today on YSN, he was dropping knowledge bombs. Robert Garcia today was asked by one of the interviewers on YSN's YouTube channel if he would ever train a black fighter. You know, in YSN, you know, Philly channel, you know, these are like Greg Hackett's boys. Great channel. One of my favorite channels to watch to get the scoop on the East Coast boxing. And Garcia's take was, he was like, of course. He was like, this whole division of race is crazy to me. You know what I mean? We know that that's what we get with boxing. But the conversation then turned into, he was asking him about Devin. And then Robert was talking about he has a great relationship with Devin, a great relationship with his father. He said Bill's always respected him. But he mentioned something about sparring. He was like, in the chat, he was talking about how what I tell all my guys at RGBA is like, everybody talks about Virgil, everybody talks about Bam. He was like, but the sparring here is, I tell all the young dudes, if you're going against Bam and you're not trying to knock him out, you need to leave. If you're going against Virgil and you're not trying to be better than Virgil, you need to leave. Because those guys, Virgil and Bam, need you to be better than them so they could stay on their game. He was like, that's what I feel is missing with some of these fighters. He was saying, Devin, he was like, I like to see Haney put himself in positions in sparring against guys that aren't just brought in to serve a purpose, that are brought in though to beat him. And it just made you think, because that is a double-edged sword though. You don't want your young champion to leave a piece of him in sparring, but then again, you don't want your young champion to just walk over everybody. And I think with Ryan Garcia going back to his father, comfortability, the silk sheets thing, he only wants to be the A side. This dude's an influencer. He doesn't want to look up or answer to anybody. It's sort of a narcissistic God complex. His left hook brought him to the show. We'll see if it'll get him a world championship. I don't think it will. Guys, we're 45 minutes in. We're floating between 60 and 80 on this live stream. Could you please like this video? Hit subscribe if you haven't. Join our world famous Johnny Says Boxing Discord. Become a JSB Insider. It's a couple bucks a month. Pinned in the comment section below. You could either enter through Patreon or enter through YouTube. Whichever way you enter, you get all my picks. It's a professional betting community, not just boxing, MMA, American football just ended, NHL, golf, tennis. To the Aussies out there, we're launching NRL, we're launching AFL, F1, and Major League Baseball starts in April. So it's a great community to be part of. Yo, thanks for the Vire by points and Pagan by points play. Thanks, brother. Casey, I appreciate you. Next stop. Can't wait for the Nunes fight. Same. I love, you know, every Navarrete fight week, it's like a carnival for me. You know, like Dude, Navarrete, say what you will about whatever. He's such a unique cat. He's one of those guys that you could just see if we just had a silhouette of Navarrete boxing or shot it, you would know it was Navarrete. He has one of those really unique styles. And, is there a more perfect name than Cowboy for that guy? Johnny, the boxing matches you gave on YouTube members and Patreon, are you going to give them in some live or YouTube for all of us? No, that's for just you guys, James. That's an ad. That's not no. That's only for the VIPs, brother. And if you do see the picks after, it's because I made them public after. But LeBron James, to answer, all of my picks stay behind the privacy for the JSB insiders until after the fights. You guys do what you want to do with them before the fights, but they're only for you guys. The fight is Navarrete Nunes. I like the dog, Emmanuel. By decision, need your input. Yep, it's coming. I'm breaking that down too. Yo, thanks for the Vire. Put on points. Yep. Michael Brown between I got FA. I got Ajagba, Michael. I'm gonna give you my tomorrow. For all the JSB insiders, I'm gonna give you my method of victory. I'm still torn between points and knockout. It's a half unit bet though, guys. It's a heavyweight kind of fringe world level fight. Martin has, old now, FA, 6'6", 6'5". Charles in his prime, no longer, but he could crack. FA trying to get there. It's just a weird Zuffa matchup. Knockdown prop pitchings, maybe. I think I'm going to go a little bit heavier. I could see a knockdown prop. And we have to wait till fight week to see those props. GAR, Andy. GAR. Mercado odds are too wide. Wouldn't be dumb to screw with something. I'm not disagreeing with you, bro, because that's what we do. Not all of our picks have to be. Not all of our pick. How do I say this? From a value play, shout out to Nick from Breaking Bad. He talks about this a lot. From a value play perspective, this is right. But from a long parlay perspective, I'm picking a winner, and I don't see Mercado. I just didn't see anything in Mercado's tape. When you tape him and his resume, the record looks great. But when you kind of pull back the curtains and look at like how he operates and who he's fighting, I think Ryo Nishida, the odds are right where they need to be. Did you do some tape on Brian Mercado? Seems like a big hitter. Could be. This is what people are saying. I don't see it, man. I know the odds are coming closer and closer. I think there's a lot of money coming in on Mercado because I took Ryo 3 days ago on a prop on a long parlay at $1.16 in Sydney here. Now he's at $1.27. Means an 11-cent swing. That's money coming in on Mercado. Now I don't know how much of that is just sharps trying to dog hunt. I think they're dog hunting here. Don't bet your mortgage on this fight, guys. I would also say Pro Box. We actually do pretty well with Pro Box cards. I like the Pro Box cards. I do pretty well on the Pro Box cards. But yeah, you have to just kind of keep track of your own. You guys will pick patterns up where some guys might do well in Japan. Who's the kid from there's a kid from the UK. He stopped doing his channel. I like this channel. He was really good at what he does. He used to break down tape. And he used to do like the obscure Japanese cards. And he was good. It's just, from a content creator perspective, this shit isn't cut out for everyone. You know what I mean? Because like the kid who would do the Japanese cards, he was probably at 80 cent per hit rate in Japan, but his channel wasn't growing because you got to, marketing's a big thing. You got to know how, and he stopped doing it. It was kind of bumming out. But some people hit in Japan. When I see Japan fight cards, unless it's an Inoue or Nakatani, excluding Inoue and Nakatani, I'm talking these domestic Japanese fight cards, half unit. Meja Ruiz over 8.5. Damn, my boy Eddie is getting these props. I love it. FA Ajagba. So you like Meja moneyline, Ruiz moneyline, over 8.5 on FA Martin, Zembrikov 1/3. Bro, you've done your study, mate. This is my whole job, guy. My job on this, I always talk about, is never to talk you guys out of your bets. It's to educate and just kind of give you my input. Sometimes it just comes down to you trusting your gut. If you did your research, Eddie, which it sounds like you did, and you have a reasoning and a path to victory for these outcomes, play it, dude. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if it loses, at least you know you just weren't fucking picking shit out of midair. The outcomes aren't always going to be in our favor, but over time, I feel if you put the energy and effort into something, overall, the percentages of outcomes will be in your favor. Appreciate the advice. Oh, no worries, Sanford Pet. It was a great question. You know how to you know how to really connect with me when you start asking me fitness and wellness stuff. Agree with numerous negatives, too erratic to wager on, but just looking at how they match up, Ryan is noticeably faster. True. If Manny could do it, I see him consistently countering, but I think Ryan's countering though happens when he's just trying to hook with his opponent, right? He wouldn't really be like. No, it's a good point, Mike. It's a good point. Shout out to the super chat. I'm just catching up, everybody. It's for me. How much is the Discord? $6 Australia, $7 Australia, which is like $5 US. Click the link, brother. It's the same in the Patreon too. Playo, I agree. Zufa should sign Sandor. I agree. What's up, Rich? They love a spoke with someone in the Discord about it. No knockdown, probably maybe live. I'm gonna check the Discord soon. Playo's solid. I agree. Kind of ramble. Looks like Zepeda got shoved ever since that Shakur loss. Yeah, he was really active too. You know, maybe he just needed a recharge. We're talking about William Zepeda, El Camarón. You know, he really active. You know, he fought his way into that fight. We know about the fights with um the two fights leading up to that. My mind's going a blank. The kid that Kid Schofield knocked him out. Boxing's a brutal sport, man. You know, he worked his entire career to get that title fight, and he just came up short. So the way I would look at that, Sam from Pet, it looks to me that maybe he's just recharging, taking time off. Brutal style he has. You know, takes a lot of shots, gives a lot away. Maybe he's just recharging, getting healthy. Could have had injuries going into it. It's a brutal sport. Fun fighter to watch, though, man. Every time William Zepeda fights, I watch. Zepeda versus Morataya would be a fun-ass fight. What's up, PJ? Martin Albright, who you got? Right now, I got Martin. It's not my official pick, but I'm leaning on Martin right now. See, this is the type. What's up, Goated? What's up, T-Man? This is the type of stuff why it's hard for me to bet on Ryan. And, you know, I'm goated as a JSB insider, so I trust. I didn't look into this. I don't know what he's referring to, but I trust this comment because he's an insider. Ryan Garcia posted he's being set up for failure. Like, what are we talking about? Who says that? You're about to fight for a world title in like a week. The world's not out to get you, Ryan. That's what I always have to tell my girl. I'm like, look, the world's not out to get you. Like, people love you. You know what I'm saying? Focus on that. Don't focus on the loud noise. This is why Ryan needs leadership around him. He needs guys that he needs guys that could say no to him. I don't know him personally. All I'm doing is judging on patterns of behavior. That's all we could do, right? For me, it seems like he doesn't like putting himself around other guys that he has to that he has to look up to. Not a lot of guys like to have, they want to be the alpha. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. One of my favorite interviews, maybe 5-6 years ago, was when Roy Jones Jr. went on the Joe Rogan podcast. And Roy's dad, if you don't know, Roy's dad was a great trainer, a great amateur and pro trainer. Very public breakup with his father and why he left the family and why he, never wanted to be coached by his dad. And Roy's, because I grew up with a very strict father. He was a collegiate athlete, American football player, very strict Czechoslovakian conservative dad. Like, everything growing up in my house was, I better get all A's. I better be the best player at every sport I played. I better not get in trouble. And boom, all year round from the time I was 7 until I was 18, one sport would end, one would begin. One sport would end, one would begin. And when Roy was giving this interview and Rogan asked him, why did you leave your father? He was like, because, think about lions in the jungle. He was like, in a lion's den, there's only one alpha. There were two of us. Roy was talking about, he was like, one of us had to leave. And I was like, damn. Like, damn. So, and you know, it's interesting. Now with Ryan, I think he needs to put himself around other alphas that can hold him down in a positive way. Be like, bro, you're slipping here. You know, do this, do this. Stop messing with these people. Stop. You know, these are distractions. This isn't suiting you. What's your life going to look like at 40? How are you going to feel at 50? Do that sort of. It seems to me there's a lot of distractions. But you know what? I see him trying though, like there how he speaks on his spirituality and his relationship with God. I could see that he's trying. It's just a tough world out there, dude. So, you know, my advice to anybody, I try to live day to day, not judging. But even when people wrong me or people try to play shade on me, I don't hate them. You know, I try my best not to judge people. It's hard though. Fight FA also fights focus, but they get bonuses if they do super good. Kelvin Davis stature and style was tailor made. Yeah, yeah. And Kelvin, you know, no shade on Kelvin, but Kelvin very green. Kelvin Davis very green. Kelvin Davis is not Keyshawn Davis. Frank Martin's footwork is not taught. Frank Martin, the things that Frank's style is now or never, guys. What is he? What is Frank now? 30? Is he 32? How old's Frank? Frank's 31. Frank's style is now or never, meaning that he relies as an athlete so much on his explosivity and his power and his speed that as we get older as men, those things are the first things that deteriorate. So I expect to see at 31 the best version of Frank Martin. It sounds to me he's in the right weight class. He's healthy. He's switched on. And you know what? When we're talking personalities, I mean, I like his personality too. I like how he operates out. He's a to myself sort of guy. And people, he has a cult fan base because the way he is outside, you know? He's not really a he's not really a clout chaser sort of guy. He could have been. This dude was side by side with EJ in EJ's prime. He could have been, but I think his, you know, the boxing world watching how he operated, some guys would have operated a different way. You know what I mean? Clout wise. And I think that's why a lot of people respect him too. And I think I'm leaning on that his speed, power, explosivity, his athleticism is going to be too much. It's still boxing at the end of the day, and I'm not shading. Nahir's a good boxer. This is also Ryan's last fight before his contract ends. Him and Oscar, their relationship is funny to me. What's up, Skills? Devin was sparring Kevin Newman for Norman. A super middle with more foot and hand speed than Norman. Yeah, did you know this before Skills? I wish I didn't hear this. Was this info you had? Because I could have used this during my pick. Or did you learn this? Because I know Kevin Newman's your boy, right? FA is dedicating his debut to his father, Eddie. Brings more pressure on him possibly. I like it. See, this is why, shout out to the JSB insiders. This is the knowledge that it's not just film study. It's this sort of stuff. We got it. Just as fighters are preparing for their fight, they're trying to find an edge. Who has the best nutritionist? Who has the best weight cut program? Who has the best strength coach? What we could do is this sort of research. We need to find out, and this is why we're up. This is why we up. I'm gonna and thanks for sharing this, Sent from Pet. Sent from Pet is dead. FA, I didn't know this. FA is dedicating his debut to his father, Eddie. Brings more pressure on him to possibly get a knockout. I don't feel comfortable with the decision. Moneyline standard, I live bet 7-2-12. Emilio Navarrete reminds me of the old-time Mexican fighters, whether he wins or not. Yeah, one of my favorite guys to watch. What's up, Aussie Pugilist? Good day. Are you still... I got it all sorted. I got it all sorted. Thank you, Aussie Pugilist. So, Aussie Pugilist is asking me about a question I asked the Discord group late last weekend, and I got it sorted. So, I found a company. If you go to my YouTube channel, we launched our first series of merchandise. 3 shirts. We have a white version, a black version, and a white hoodie. It's the Swindler series. The Swindler Says series, and I have a company that makes the shirts, stocks the shirts, ships the shirts. All I had to do was design. But thank you for looking up. Mike Hunter Jr. tell me Charles versus Epic can go either way because both aren't that good. I know, man. Skills. I'm sweating this one. You know, I know Tommy likes FA on points. You know, if we want to be romantic about it, let's take the old dog. If you want to be romantic, we're old heads. I mean, me and Skills are unks. If we want to be romantic about it, let's take the old head. But I already got action on FA, so my boots are already drawn. I'm picking Nunes by decision. El Gallo Negro, it's a good pick. It's that I got Sugar too, man. I got Sugar. I got Sugar too, man. Bum Equipment, I appreciate the super chat, man. The Australian Better Wi-Fi Fund, Figgy with the win. Thank you. We got is the stream better? You know, you guys know that we maybe 2 months ago I used some of the funding that I get from my channel to get new technology, and we upgraded our NBN. So I appreciate the support, Bum. The Figgy win, the Australian Better Wi-Fi Fund. I like it. That was his name. Yeah, he did a really good job, man. Look, it always bums me out when content creators that are on the right track, because somebody like, this is interesting. Somebody on my Instagram messaged me and was like, and this is no shade to them, messaged me on my Instagram in a comment because Malinaji commented on one of my, like, I've known Paulie for over a decade, right? But they messaged me and said, hey, Johnny, it's crazy to see how far you've come since 2023. And I'm like, and I thought about it. I was like, 2023? I started my first show in 2015. You know what I mean? Like, I did my first US tour, my first podcast tour that was funded in 2016. So it's like, you never know when people, like, no, whenever you see, and I'm just kidding, like, my mindset's always like, I'm at the ground floor. But this is kind of like a testament to people that you guys listen to, or, you know, you're a fan of. You never see the journey. People only see the outcome. Like, I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. Not this exactly, but putting what, you know, building bricks, I guess. Easy money. Boys, I'm late. I knew Madueno was onto something. Was surprised right there. My guy PJ. It's good to have PJ back in the chat, by the way. PJ came back about a couple weeks ago. Alberto Lopez. We were talking about him the other day on the chat, John. Alberto Lopez. What happened to him? Okay. This is a fun fight. Guys, we're an hour in. We still got 60 to 70 people on the live. It's a testament to you boys and how fun it is to chat boxing. So I'm going to stay on, dude. I'm done for the day. I don't have any more clients. I'm supposed to call my mom. So shout out to Rosie. I have to call my mom after this, so she could wait a little bit. If you guys still have your mom around, tell her you love her. You know, moms do so much that goes unseen, man. I'm picking Lee Wood over Warrington. I never liked Warrington's dirty style. He's another Nick Ball. I don't trust Warrington. This is hard to say because we just saw Lee Wood get stopped against Kakashi. So if somebody would hear me say, I don't trust Warrington's durability, could it be like, Johnny, what are you talking about? Warrington's coming off a victory where he looked good, and Wood's the one who just got stomped against Kakashi. But there's different variables to that. Wood's the one who came up from a smaller division to fight Kakashi in a different weight class. Kakashi, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated champs. And he was the champ until he chose to take the bag and he got stripped. He was supposed to fight Sugar, and he got stripped. He fought Wood for the bag, which is fine. And Kakachi's a fucking handful, dude. Kakachi's getting ready to fight Jazza. I got Kakashi in that fight. I'm a fan of Anthony Kakachi. I like guys who put it all together late in their career. Once again, it goes back to me being a hopeless romantic. I like the story, dude. You get a guy who puts it together later in their career, mid-30s. Both guys. Shout out to Jazza. Jazza beat Albert Badagaziev, and then a couple months later got elevated to full champion. And look how the world works. Kakachi gets stripped because he doesn't fight Sugar, and then gets a chance to become a world champion again. So I like Kakachi against Jazza. I probably like Lee Wood over Warrington. It's not my official pick. We'll get there soon because fight week's coming up. Zepeda beats Stevenson. John Law. What the fuck? Because I got I was gonna but then I got Alberto Venado Lopez is fighting in Mexico soon. When's he fighting? White House fights announced this Saturday. No way the big names ain't on it. Female fight Amanda versus Kayla or Mackenzie. Got some UFC action coming up. The White House. We've ventured into the UFC. I know Skills is a big UFC guy. We all watch it. Masvidal, McGregor. I've been watching, dude. Go to YouTube. I've been watching. I remember watching Jorge Masvidal on YouTube when he was fighting backyard bare knuckle with Kimbo Slice. Masvidal is an OG. It was. I remember there was a time in the UFC where everybody knew how good Masvidal was, and I think it wasn't until he knocked out, was it Darren Till in the UK where he started getting mainstream, and then all of a sudden he just fucking broke through. But he's a big dude, man. He's way bigger than McGregor in terms of like naturally bigger. McGregor's all on this, been on that gear, but like naturally, physically, I think McGregor's listed at 5'8", 5'9". Masvidal 5'11", maybe 6 foot, rangier, longer. McGregor does have a longer reach. At this stage of the game, man, do I want to see them fight? Jorge's way longer in the tooth. McGregor, I don't know. For nostalgia, I'd love to see that fight, though. I'd love to see that fight. It probably is a bad matchup, now that I think about it. Because Jorge is a kind of a wizard on the ground, too. If Jorge were to just stand there and strike with Conor and there was no grappling, I'd say Conor. But because it's an MMA fight, Jorge, dude, he's been down in South Florida training his whole life. What Skills say? McGregor wants something to do with Masvidal. There you go. There you go. We put an exclamation point on that. Young Money, I agree with you. Skills just posted in the Discord. Skills says, I posted in the Discord. People hate it. Kevin Newman guaranteed victory. I posted in the... Oh. So well, that was early days Discord, Skills. We've had to grow together. You know what I mean? When I started the Discord in August, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have a moderator. It was the Wild West. People were trolling, and there were people talking shit. And so I had to get a moderator. And then you could probably attest to this. We got the trolls out of there, and now it's like an educated chat. So people were, I remember those days. People were hating, idiots. There's one thing with like arguing a point. There's another thing with just hating. Do you remember when Devin was a 2-1 dog? Yes. Yes, winner circle. I remember. The proper thing to say is, hey, Johnny, do you remember when you took Brian Norman to beat Devin? Yes, I was wrong. None of us. Dude, come on, bro. I know I was wrong. I'm not perfect, dude. I never said I was perfect. We know this. We are only as good as our last bet. But, Pat, throughout time, our history says that we kind of know what we're doing a little bit. Can you make it, John? Yes. So Chris, I have the mock-ups. The issue I'm having is upload. I'll show you the mock-ups real quick. So I have the screens printed. It's just that I need to figure out the website that I'm using. Here are the mock-ups. So this is one of them. Oh, that's one. That's one. That's one. These aren't on the website yet. That's one. These are just ideas. That's on the website. That's the Swindler hoodie. That's a bet. So yeah, I have a couple mock-ups. I'm seeing how this first month goes with the first series, and then I'm gonna release more. Do you know Manny Robles was Prince Charles' coach, not together anymore because they live in... I didn't know that. And I'm a big Manny guy. Look, Charles Martin was a world champion. Charles Martin, did you watch the Adam Kanaki fight? A fucking good fight. But then you watch Charles Martin against AJ, you're like, who is that guy? That was a decade ago. It's just, guys, half unit, whatever we want. We love to win here. We love to win, and that's what we do. But don't be betting your mortgage or your car note on these fights this weekend. Do people still say car note? I grew up in a time where we used to say car note. Do they still say it? I don't know. Crazy people picking Sugar coming off that bad performance. I got Vaquero, especially after seeing him using. What do you mean, Blue Collar? You thought that was a bad performance? How could you say that without saying what Vaquero looked like in his last performance. You know what I mean? Like, we can't do that. Not here, at least. Blue collar, I respect you so much that I can't let this go without presenting both sides. We're talking about a Sugar Nunez performance in which you probably picked him to get the stoppage. A lot of us did. He won. He won on points. Was it vintage Sugar? No. What did Vaquero do in his last performance? How was that fight trending in the 4th, 5th, and 6th? Was that cut from a punch or an elbow? That fight was trending to Charlie Suarez, bro. I don't know if you were watching the fight. So if we're going to say crazy people picking Sugar coming off that bad performance, you better put comma and then say, but then again, Vaquero looked real shaky and dicey in his last performance. So I kind of understand why people were kind of split on this fight. The one thing I do see, though, why I'm leaning Vaquero, is that I see him using Rocky Hernandez now as a sparring partner. That's what I would say. But you know you're my boy. Maggie, yes. Watch Brazil. Martin Hunter, Ruiz, spar for Joshua Ruiz. Yeah, Skill's been in the game for a while, boy. Yeah, and that was the 3-piece in a soda. That was the fight card. See, that was the fight card after Masvidal starched Till. And Masvidal was a dude coming up. Masvidal was a smaller dude. And starched Till. He's getting his moment on the mic. Leon Edwards is walking across here. And then Masvidal he cuts his thing off, leaves the interview because Leon was talking trash. And Masvidal caught him with the 2-piece in the soda. And then this is like when, and then Masvidal got the fight against Ben Askren, and then he was asked about the extra hit. Do you think it was necessary? It was super necessary. It was super necessary. Dude, and Masvidal had this small window of like generational virality. You know, like he hit this sort of stride that is so rare for a combat sports athlete. So rare. It was kind of McGregor-esque. It was the same stride. I look at Masvidal's breakthrough into the mainstream very similar to Nate Diaz's breakthrough in the mainstream. We knew about Nate since early 2000s. We knew about Nick's little brother, and everybody talked about Nate as just being Nick's little brother. But, you know, it was the Michael Johnson fight. After Nate went into that fight as a dog, and Nate put on a just clinic against Michael Johnson, grabs the mic and calls out Conor McGregor, "You're taking everything. The real fight's with me." And then he went on his little thing, put belt to ass to Conor the first time, grabs the mic. So yeah, pretty interesting. I don't think those things will ever have, like, it seems like with the UFC and the business sort of decisions that they've gone from a fighter organization to a brand organization. The UFC now, it's about the brand. It's not, they don't need to market fighters as they did like Ronda Rousey, the come up. You know, you had early days, you know, you can't even include the early days because the Fertitas didn't buy it until 2003, 2004. But then you had like the Matt Hughes days, and then the George St. Pierre days coming through, and then St. Pierre carried it for a while, and then John Jones, and then Ronda, and then Connor, and then they did the Reebok deal in 2015, and then with this most recent, the television deal on ESPN and Disney, and now with Paramount Plus, it's like Dana took a loan out from the Fertitas in 2003 or 2004 for $1 million and sold for $5 billion. Like that, I talk about this all the time. When we're talking about entrepreneurialism, that's one of the greatest American business steals at least in the last 50 years. Maybe in sports, maybe ever. You get $1 million loan and sell for $5 billion, boy. Let's go. I'm telling you the distance. That King, and if you've been watching the lives all week, and I know you have, that's my lean is the distance. People trying to talk me into the stoppage. I like the distance. But if I didn't have action on it, I could see a degenerate old dog play too, though. Those shirts. Thank you, Magic Kush. Guys, we're only going to get better. everything is a learning experience with me with this. Even the live streams are slowly getting better. The bets are got a lot better. Our technology is getting better. The t-shirts will get better as well. Just be patient. I posted directly to your inbox if I think something is relevant. I know a big reason picking Norman over Haney was. Yeah, appreciate you, Skills. I'm going like serious on the other side. Let's go, King. Let's go, King. Savage. What's up? I haven't seen EV44 in a minute. What's up, EV? I'm late to the party. What's the move here? Where the dogs? The dogs are. The dogs been barking. What does PJ say about the dogs? PJ told me last week. He was like, "Them dogs ain't barking. We about to shoot them dogs and put them down." Guys, we're an hour and 16 minutes in. We still got between 60 and 80 people in this live. All you could do, just like the video for me. That's it. Masvidal got robbed. I'm not betting this week. This is a good move. I always say the best bet is the one you don't make. FA 8.5. What do you think? He's got one punch knockout guy. It's over, damn. FA 8.5. What do you think? He's not a PJ. From if I were to take the majority percentage of people I've spoken to going to the Ajagba fight, the majority consensus. I did a poll on my YouTube, on my Instagram the other day. The majority is picking FA Ajagba money line first, and then the over 8.5, and then the decision. And then after the decision, FA knockout. And then from there, it's all sharp money, like Martin money line, Martin knockout, etc. I'm taking my figure wins. Bum. I got you. We up. Bum equipment. You know I'm with you on that. I feel like I'm with you on that. Bum. Masvidal got robbed more times. Yeah, he used to just not be patient. He used to be too patient. He'd sit back and counter train. They just hated that style, made up some wild narrative that he'd take us for. Yeah, Masvidal, legit, well-rounded game. Crafty. Very crafty. Super necessary. Sugar faded toward the end and was close to getting knocked out. I bet big on the over 5.5. Sugar versus Pitufo. Yeah, I think they called it initially, they called it a technical decision. Vaquero looked great till he got cut. He didn't look good in the 5th. Wow, I'm going to look more into it, Blue. Nice. Look, that's all I needed to hear. All I needed to hear was from one of you boys to say that Sugar is tailor-made for Vaquero. I'm gonna dive more deeper. You know I got time. What's up, Chief Fred Cloud? Hiroka for the upset. I disagree. You guys are. I definitely disagree. The swindler. Opinion on David Benavidez. I think the scary thing about Benny is he actually is getting better. That's the crazy thing about David Benavidez, in my opinion. I think he's getting better. He's getting like. Thanks, guys. I'm gonna see you guys soon. I gotta call my mom.